Over the winter, my friend Kale was involved in a pretty gnarly car wreck, which led the insurance company to total her STI. When I got home from deployment, I made a deal with her that I would build her a new car in exchange for her old car. So I got it in the shop and started tearing it apart, transferring any good parts onto her new car. We then exchanged titles and she drove off up to Connecticut in her new STI. And now, I'm left with this. The first thing I wanted to knock out was my front lower control arm. This thing was snapped completely in half. Well, that took some time, about 30 minutes of banging on that ball joint. As you can see, finally got it to break loose, and now we got our two-piece control arm out of the car. So, I got this pre-owned one on eBay, and we're gonna get this slapped in. As you can see, it's a whole lot cleaner, and it comes with a new used ball joint. So, yeah, no biggie. Let's get this guy slapped in, and that should fix most of our issues. Now, I did notice this coilover is smoked. Now, I don't have a flashlight out here, but you can see up there, it's got a lot of play. And yeah, I don't think that's supposed to be like that. Hello, Tanner.
I was on the phone with Mr. Jeff Perrin, and then I was on the phone with Company 23 when you called.
Oh, nice. Do you have a car on the lift by chance with the front subframe exposed?
Yes.
Can I have a look, please? On the passenger side?
For the bottom or the top?
Bottom works.
Look at that, there's not even a transmission in it.
Oh, nice.
What are you working on that you're concerned about? Oh, this is a GD.
Same thing. I think the subframe's bent.
And it's still going up.
So does that mount looks like it comes completely straight out, right? Look at where my control arm comes out. See how it's like bent backwards?
Yeah, it comes straight out. See, if you look at mine, it's straight out.
Okay, so it's bent. Well, I kind of had a thought that this was coming, but I was hoping for the best. It appears that our front subframe got bent backwards quite a bit, because right now that front arm is, in there straight, and you can see that it doesn't look like the subframe's sitting on it real nice. And then this back arm, it's about 2 inches off where it should be. Like, there's no way I'd ever get a bolt in there. So yes, I could bend that back probably, but I'm just gonna do the right thing and get a new subframe. The good thing is they're not too expensive, about 180, 185 bucks pre-owned on eBay, and there's no rust. So there's more than one upside to this. Being that this control arm not only snapped, but bent almost completely downwards, means it had a lot of force going this way. So it doesn't surprise me that that arm kind of bent the subframe a little bit with it, but it is what it is, not a huge deal. Moving on, I want to clean up the wiring wrapped around the frame rail. I believe this is just leftover headlight wiring from when there used to be a headlight in place. From there, I jumped inside the car to start removing the deployed airbags, along with the seat belts and the airbag module so we can get those sent off for reset. I got the steering wheel airbag out, but unfortunately, when these things deploy, they kind of plastic weld themselves in place. So I just went ahead and cut the harness. And unfortunately, that means we also need to replace the clock spring because this airbag harness is one piece with the clock spring, and also it looks like the clock spring is broken. So yeah, not a huge deal. Steering wheel comes out, the trim around the steering wheel comes out, and then we can remove that guy. Now that we have the driver and passenger side seat belts along with the airbag module, we can get all of this sent out to get reset. Now unfortunately, when she got in the wreck, she had a fresh coffee from Dunkin' Donuts in the car, so that means we have some cleaning to do. I pulled out the WeatherTech floor mats and just hit them with the water hose with some cleaning solution, and then went around the interior with some interior detailer. Now that the interior is all cleaned out, I want to go ahead and remove the plastic cowl from the bottom of the windshield. I can already see a little bit of damage from the front of the car underneath the cowl, so I want to take it off and reveal the full extent of what we have to fix.
You say I make you nervous, a tragedy, I'm a beautiful disaster, a reckoning, you wonder how I got this way. You think I'm someone to be saved, someone to clean up and tame. Oh, some things never change, never change. You think I would look pretty on your arm once you cover up my bruises and battle scars, but it always ends the same. Can't bear the things I've had to face, got you crying on your knees in pain. Oh, some things never change, never change. Oh, you break your back to make me feel again, suffocate to make me breathe again, lose your mind from endless pain. Some things never change, never change. Oh, redemption never came. I stopped asking for forgiveness, cause you should know only fools tread where the angels fear to go, but you keep trying to get too close. Save myself by turning into stone, so save your judgment cause you just don't know. But some things never change, never change. Oh, they say I should feel guilty and change my ways, leaving crumpled bodies in my wake. Swear I didn't mean to make them break, swear I didn't mean to make them break. But they're so delicate and so mundane, and they keep coming like a moth to a flame. Oh, some things never change, never change. You break your back to make me feel again, suffocate to make me breathe again.
Well, it's not great, but it's not too bad either. The frame shop's definitely gonna have their work cut out for them. We need to pull this apron back quite a ways, and I can show you right here. We need to align these spot welds back up where they used to be on the main tub of the car. And then also you can see right here, got kind of bent and crinkled in. And then same thing with this piece of the firewall. Definitely gonna have to get pulled out and manipulated a little bit. But the good thing is, it's not aluminum. I believe this is all steel, so it is pliable. We can kind of play with it a little bit and get it where we need it. And then like little pieces like that black trim that I took off, that can be replaced, and then we can get a new cowl for the top as well. So it looks like the main kind of tub, it's gonna be hard to see, but like up there, that is perfectly fine and straight. There is no wrinkles, no crinkles, no bends, nothing. So that's good news. That would kind of be a bear to fix. But once we get the windshield off, we'll be able to see a little more. I think what we're seeing right now, though, is just about the extent of it, which I think is fixable. So we'll see. The last thing I did in the engine bay was hit it with a quick vacuum, and then I'm going to leave it as is. It's a good idea to leave a lot of the damaged structure on the car when going to the frame shop so that they can use it as a reference when pulling the frame. I then began pulling all of the blue masking tape off the car, which left a little bit of residue behind, so I hit it with some adhesive remover, and when the car is finished, we'll hit it with a cut and buff and the paint will be good as new. the last thing I want to take care of on the car is this absolute kneecap killer of a tow hook up front. Let's get rid of that. Until the new subframe comes in, I've pretty much done everything on the chassis itself that I'm able to do. So we're gonna move on to the engine. Now, if you guys remember, this engine actually came out of the silver car that Kale ended up taking back up north. So this one had a pretty bad smoking issue, and I kind of went over it in the last video, but the previous owner has had this issue for a while. And as far as he says, he replaced the turbo, he found a few burnt valves, replaced those, replaced the head, had a reputable shop go over everything. Everything looked good. They slapped it all back together, and it's still smoking. So my guess is when he burnt the valves or whatever happened, it got so much oil in the exhaust manifold, the up pipe, turbo, the exhaust system, and there was proof of that when I pulled the exhaust system off. It was just doused in oil. So I think what I want to do is pull the manifold off, and if the manifold is covered in oil, but the heads look dry, I'm just gonna slap another manifold, another up pipe, another turbo, and a new exhaust system on the car, and it should be good. But what I might do first is drop the engine in the car, open header, and just run it and see if it smokes. Because he said he did that and it didn't smoke, which leads me to believe if that's the truth, it's just residual oil in the exhaust system. So I'm gonna drain the oil out of this engine block right now because I haven't done that yet, and then we'll pull the manifold off and we can go ahead and inspect the heads. Alright, not exactly what I was hoping for, but we found maybe an issue. So you can see this side of the manifold is pretty dry. There's really not any oil in there. But coming over here, you can see that runner is absolutely soaked, and inside that runner is also pretty wet as well. And looking up in cylinders 1 and 3, you can see 1 is pretty dry, but 3 is absolutely soaked. And I know it's kind of hard to show, but it's kind of weird because cylinder 1 is the one that's soaked here, and cylinder 3 is relatively dry. Either way, that head's gonna have to come off so we can further assess what's going on. Could be another burnt valve, could be rings, could be a few different things. So we really won't know until we get it stripped apart, but I'm gonna save that for another episode. I'm gonna wrap this one up right here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Till then, peace out, see y'all later.